My name is Aiman Maulana from Pokde, and today, well, I recently finished reviewing the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6, so since I have the time for it, I figured I might as well just talk about it in video. So, rather than treating this like a review video, I figured I might as well just take the time, just talk and rant, just share my thoughts on the phone. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now at first glance, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6 doesn't look much different from the Z Flip5. In fact, you might think that it's identical, except for maybe the rings in the camera over here. Like if you look at the camera, where the two cameras are, yeah. There's like rings now that follow the color of the body, whereas we didn't have that in Z Flip5. Other than that, you still get pretty much the same thing with the display, a 6.7-inch Dynamic AMOLED 2X display, along with a 3.4-inch Super AMOLED cover display. I believe last year's one was IPS for the cover displays, and this year's one is Super AMOLED. The main display I think is a little bit brighter, but for the most part, it's not something most people will notice. But I think that's the theme here for this year. It's more of refining the experience than it is to actually come up with a brand new product. Now, there's a lot of things that this thing actually has improved, especially in terms of durability, but you won't be able to feel it. They've made some improvements to the hinges, so when you fold it, it's a lot more durable now than it was before. It is also now IP48 instead of IPX8 like last year, so that means for the first time we're getting dust resistance on the foldable. And that also applies to the Z Fold6, just in case you're wondering. But for the most part, there's a lot of things you might not really feel until you actually use it. Now the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6 over here is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, pretty much on par with every flagship of 2024, except this one's tuned specifically for Galaxy, just like the Z Fold6. However, despite it being a very powerful chip, the one thing that I don't really like about it is the fact that it runs pretty hot. Now, Samsung did install a vapor chamber cooling system inside it, which is supposed to be the first of its kind for a foldable, but it's not adequate enough from my own testing, because when I was benchmarking it, specifically under 3D Mark's wildlife stress test, it had a stability rating of slightly less than 50%. Now in case you're wondering what that means, about half the tests, that was thermal throttling. Like, it was running so hot that the device actually had to ramp down its performance so the device doesn't overheat and start damaging the components inside the phone. And that's not really a good thing, it's not really a reassuring thing, but it is still a very powerful device. Like, we've gotten good scores pretty much across all the benchmarks we've done, just that it cannot really run like resource-intensive tasks for too long, at least based on our benchmarks. One major upgrade that the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6 brought this year is the battery capacity. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, the Z Flip5 came with a 3700 mAh battery capacity, whereas this year with the Z Flip6, we got 4000 mAh battery capacity. That is a 300 mAh increase, or about 8% increase if you just want to do the math. Now, this might not sound like much, but it did translate really well when it comes to our testing, because it basically lasted 11 hours for our endurance test, which means it lasted 2.5 hours longer than the Z Flip5. Now, I don't think it's just the increase in battery capacity that helped it reach that level, but it's also because the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is generally a more efficient chip compared to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, despite the overheating among other things. But yes, I think a combination of the battery capacity and the efficiency of the newer chip actually helped boost its battery life to even greater heights. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's a new camera ring, like around the camera, but that's not the only thing that's new about the camera, because with last year, the Z Flip5, we got a 12 megapixel wide angle and ultra wide for the two cameras in the rear, whereas for this year, the Z Flip6, the main camera has been bumped up to a 50 megapixel sensor. Now this puts it on par with the S24, S24 Plus. Not the Ultra, by the way, because the Ultra is on a 200 megapixel sensor. But this should put the experience on par with the standard flagships from Samsung. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, it does not have a telephoto camera, but the idea here is that you use the main camera to zoom in, and Galaxy AI will help improve the picture quality. So it's supposed to mimic a telephoto experience without actually having the telephoto hardware itself. Now, from our experience, the camera's quality has been on the more pleasing side. Like, pictures are generally more, the colors are a bit more punchy, but the zoom pictures can be a bit weird at times, because when you're trying to take a picture, when you're zooming in, you would think that it's not clear, like it's gonna be blurry or just gonna be pixelated. But once you actually do take the picture and then the software kicks in and enhances the picture, it really does feel like you're actually using like an actual telephoto camera. Now keep in mind that Samsung did mention you can get up to 2 times optical quality zoom with this, but with good lighting you can go 3 times, 5 times, and sometimes 10 times and get pretty good results. But this can be a bit of a touchy subject for some people, because again, this is not like actual picture quality. Let's say it's not natural picture quality, it's AI, or I guess software doing its work. But when you really think about it over the years, that's kind of what made a lot of smartphone cameras perform really well. The hardware might be a bit lacking, so it's the software that helps compensate for it. It helps to optimize the results. So at the end of the day, it's not really much of a difference like I mentioned before. It's just a matter of how you feel about it, and if AI could actually help make the pictures better, I don't really see why not. But again, if that's not something that would be agreeable to you, feel free to drop down in the comments. I would actually like to hear this, because I know my junior actually does not really like this idea, but personally I'm fine with it, because at the end of the day, what matters is the results, right? Now, to me, this Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6 makes for a great everyday phone, but it's also not meant for everyone. Now, what I mean here is that highly likely, if you're going to be considering this, you're also probably considering the Samsung Galaxy S24 and the S24 Plus. Now, if you are an avid mobile gamer, or you tend to run apps or tasks that are on the heavier side, I would personally recommend getting either the S24 or S24 Plus, because this thing does get kind of hot at times. The S24, from our review, the thermal throttling can be there to an extent, but it's a whole lot lesser compared to the Z Flip6. So if you actually play a lot of mobile games, you're definitely better off with those. But if, let's just say, you're using a phone just for communicating with people, social media, you enjoy taking a lot of selfies, because you're literally taking high quality selfies with the main camera itself in this case, then yeah, the Z Flip6 will serve you well. And who wouldn't actually enjoy having such a small footprint here? You could fit this in your pocket and barely takes up space. Or for the ladies who actually have really small handbags, yeah, this is actually quite worth it. But again, this all boils down to what do you do with your smartphone on a daily basis, and from there you can decide whether it is actually worth it or not. Now, the reason why I actually mentioned specifically those 3 phones is because the prices are not too far apart. Unless you're talking specifically the S24, because the Samsung Galaxy S24 starts out at 3,799 ringgit. The S24 Plus, which is probably the closer consideration here, is starting from 4,599 ringgit, and the Z Flip6 starts out at 4,999 ringgit. So yeah, highly likely you're gonna be going through these 3. So you can't really go wrong with either of these 3. It's just a matter of just figure out what you want in a smartphone first before you jump. Now, if you're coming from the Z Flip 5, my personal recommendation is to wait another year, because again, like I mentioned, a lot of things are very similar to the Z Flip 5, and it's just a matter of, do you really need that bigger battery, and do you really want a huge upgrade in the camera? Because the thing is, the Z Flip 5 does take good pictures as well. Sure, you can argue the Z Flip 6 does it better, but it still does it well enough that I would recommend you just wait out and upgrade next year instead. But if you have the money and you just want something better, or you just enjoy having the latest in tech, sure, by all means. But personally for me, I feel like it's a smarter move just to wait for another year. Unless you want to move to something even bigger, which then you can consider Z Fold 6. Or if you want to move back to a traditional phone, yeah, the S24, the S24 Plus, maybe an S24 Ultra if you have the budget for it, by all means. So yeah, I think that's all I have to share for today's video. Again, I'm not really calling this like a review, this is just more so me ranting about the Z Flip6, and I'm kind of hoping I would do this more with future devices. Doesn't matter what it is, could be a laptop, could be a smartphone, could be anything really. I just feel like just me talking about the product once I'm done reviewing it, it's kind of fun. Like, I feel like the review itself, when I'm writing it down, it has to be a bit more serious, has to be more methodical, but with the video, it's just me just putting the information out there and just see what you guys think. Because again, you might feel differently from what I feel, or maybe there's some areas that I might not cover and you might want to know more, in which case, you know, feel free to drop down in the comments and we'll see what I can do with it. Oh, before that, I did get a cheap case like from Shopee. Like, it's not really a good looking case, if I'm being honest here. Yeah, so the important part, at least for me, is that you have like the magnetic ring at the back here. Now, I want that is because I've gotten lazy in using cables, so I got like this MagSafe charger. So what you can do here is just stick it over here and it starts charging. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it starts charging. Yeah, it makes life easier. I do have a MagSafe wallet, so what I do is just stick to the back of the phone and just like go about my way, my day. And it's pretty convenient to have. So because it's Samsung and it's a very, very popular device, you're gonna find a ton of accessories. But of course, if you're worried, you're not sure whether accessories will last, you can always buy them directly from Samsung, like the official authorized accessories. Those are usually of better quality anyway. But yeah, if you're like me and you just want something simple, yeah, you have plenty of options online. Yeah, I just wanted to, you know, share that out. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys again next time then. Bye bye!